The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
Is Nico cooking? Mavericks get another team-friendly deal from Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving had a player option. $43 million, he could have signed it, and if he signed it, and if he just activated it or exercised it or opted into it, whatever verbiage the reporters are using for it now, if he did that, then he would just be an expiring contract. He would be a free agent, an unrestricted free agent next season. And now, according to Mark Stein, Shams Charania, and others, he's going to sign the 3-year, $119 million deal, which is the deal that we had talked about for a little while that would allow the Mavericks to go under the second apron, open up this tax mid-level exception, and it is a team-friendly deal. And honestly, like, it's a really good deal for the Mavericks. I think it's a pretty fair deal for Kyrie, considering his age and considering the injury status and how good he's been for the Dallas Mavericks too. Like, he has been a really good player for them, and I think he's earned a really good deal. And so honestly, like, I think Nico's 2 for 2 on the Gafford deal, which is really good, and the Kyrie one. Both of them really good.
Huge news for Dallas to lock this in with Kyrie. Had the midnight deadline on Tuesday night to figure out what he was going to do. I think there was a lot of confidence for a long time. This is why for a few months now, we're not reporters, right? Like, we're not sitting there trying to report breaking news and stuff. Every once in a while, we get some nuggets of stuff, and that's what I've been saying this whole time. 2+1, it's going to be a 2+1 deal this coming summer, and that's what happens. It's the 3-year deal, but it's two years plus the player option there, that 1 year. And it was just a matter of like, hey, are we going to do like a opt-in and extension type thing? But the prevailing thought all along was like, hey, he's gonna decline the option, and then a 2+1. And then the hope of it is like, so once that came out, I was like, all right, sweet. You saw the deal, 119. I was like, here's the like cherry on top. Will he take less in that first year to get them under the apron to where it opens up that taxpayer mid-level at that 5.7 number? And then bam, you start getting the reports out that that's what the number was going to be. And so that's just huge for Dallas. One, I mean, we'll talk about the roster flexibility in a little bit. You have to bring back Kyrie Irving. Like, Kyrie has meant this much to this team. He has been the leader of the Mavericks. You remember we did our perfect offseason episode, and it was like, number 1 is draft Cooper Flag, but maybe the one before that is sign Kyrie, because if they don't sign Kyrie, that's how screwed they would be. Yeah, no, I mean, especially post Luka, like, you have to lock Kyrie in. He is one of the most popular players in the league. Players love him. Coaches love him. I can't speak. I fired off a tweet. Like, he is one of my favorite. We've been saying at the intro of this pod this year that we've been covering the Mavs for 10 years. He is one of my all-time favorite Dallas Mavericks. And it's only been a couple seasons. Hopefully it's, plenty more here. There's a lot of opinions about Kyrie before Dallas, and with fans, media, a lot of different people. But for his time in Dallas, he has been absolutely incredible. He has been fun to cover. He has been fun to interview. I mean, he is one of these players, like, when he talks with us, whether it's his interviews or media day or off camera, he never talks to even like people like us. I mean, we're just like little podcasters, and it's like he talks to us just like we're just like another like friend, even though like we're not like friends. Yeah. It'd be cool to be friends with him, but he is just such a nice guy. And the players, like I said, love him. He was the leader of this team before Luka got traded. Like, he was the leader. Yep. And we're not even, I mean, I'm just talking about all the off the court stuff. He's a really dang good basketball player. He's one of the most fun players to watch. I'm not as worried about the ACL injury and all this stuff. He's such a crafty finisher. He's such a good shooter and all this stuff. I'm not as, it's not like he's like a Westbrook to where he's like flying above the rim the entire time, but and he is naturally going to get older. He's in his 30s and stuff too. So, but I'm just not as worried about the ACL thing. I think this is a huge win for Dallas. You keep your leader, you give some sort of stability and consistency for your fan base after a year of so much change. You at least bring back just a fan favorite and the leader of the team.
You know what's a testament to everything you just said about how Kyrie has been a leader? He's been really great for the Mavs. You mentioned like nice guy, like one of your favorite players that you've ever covered. Nobody is going to do who are the Mavericks bidding against? No one's going to do that today with this signing, like with this contract. And they did it last time Kyrie signed that deal. And he's basically signing the same deal. Like that is such a testament to how good the Kyrie Irving era has been with the Mavericks as far as him revitalizing his image to a lot of people, whether you think he needed to do that or not. But nobody is doing oh, man, what a headache for the Dallas Mavericks. Can't believe he got a player option. He raked them over the coals, right? I knew that Kyrie had a ton of leverage on the Mavericks, and I don't think that this deal screams he raked them over, or held them over a barrel, right? Raked them over the coals, whichever. Can I combine those two? Like, raked them over a barrel?
I'm not the right person to ask about sayings and analogies.
Held them over the coals? Is that the way to go?
Pump the drum.
Yeah. Don't do that. But it's just a great deal, and it's great for Kyrie too, I think. It's just such a testament to the player that he's been, the person that he's become at this point. Because I think there was some growth in his life as well that got him to this point and got him to where he is and how he's dealing with not just media, but everybody and dealing with everything, dealing with his own fame and on the court and everything. I think that Kyrie's been through a lot, and it's incredible to see what he's been through, what he is doing now. And yeah, I just think that this contract is a testament to that everybody's going to respond to it positively, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and just think you get a guy like Cooper Flagg that's going to come in that has watched Kyrie Irving play ever since he was a kid on TV. Obviously, a part of the hashtag brotherhood of Duke. I will always make fun of that, by the way. It's kind of like a heat culture thing I love making fun of. But fun fact, probably there's a lot of people who don't know this. They both played for the same high school coach, Cooper Flagg and Kyrie Irving. At Montverde there with Kevin Boyle. I think Kevin Boyle. But yeah, so I mean that's one commonality, even though there's a 15-year difference basically, or however big it is, they can talk about playing for Coach Boyle.
Know what somebody pointed out to me today on our text line? We were texting about the rumors about the Mavs opening up that tax mid-level that we'll talk about here in a second. And you mentioned Chris Paul. Could the Mavs woo Chris Paul away? If the Mavs got Chris Paul, he's like the second or third oldest player in the NBA. The gap between him and Cooper Flagg would be absolutely insane if they do end up doing that. Like, I don't know if there's been a bigger gap between players on a team.
I mean, he could be like his dad, like as far as age wise.
Oh, legit, like easily.
But no, yeah, I'm glad that they got this out of the way. You figure this thing out. I mean, he can't sign it until July 6th, but this could have been a situation where like Kyrie. Did somebody just get shot?
Not yet.
This could have been a situation to where, hey, the report is Kyrie's going to opt out. He hopes to secure a longer future with Dallas, but we'll see come July 6th or whatever it is, or the 1st of July. But the fact that that's already locked in now, I think is like it's the same thing we've been hearing all along. It's been mutual from both sides. They want him back. They want him leading the team. And that is all figured out now, reported, out there, done. Now you don't even have to worry about it. So that's a big win for Dallas.
Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Brad Stevens has done it again. Now it's Kristaps Porzingis on the move. What's going on, Tom?
What up?
Well, just Brad Stevens completely reshaping the team in about 24 hours and getting look, initial reaction right away. Let me just get this out of the way. So whenever I think I have a handle on what the Celtics might be doing, Brad's like, nope, we're going to completely destroy you and let you know that this is why we get paid all the money to run the Boston Celtics. And you're over there going, ooh, golf clapping. Like, oh, very, very nice move. Very nice move.
Very good, sir. Well
very
done.
Good.
Well done.
I succumb to your greatness and be like, all right, let's like reverse engineer, like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that. So
Porzingis, this is why this thing that neither of us predicted in any way makes all the sense in the world. There's
yeah, exactly. It is something I completely didn't see coming. At the most obvious thing that it's a 3-team trade that sends Porzingis, I think, through Brooklyn into Atlanta. The Celtics get George Niang. There's a second-round pick going out, second-round pick coming back, so they don't really lose a pick there. And Terrence Mann goes from Atlanta to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn has 5 first-round picks and Terrence Mann, and like, okay, it's just Brooklyn rebuilding, and they control 1/6 of the NBA draft. So their entire summer league team is going to be drafted on one night. Yeah. But the Celtics, the net effect here is in 2 nights or in one 24-hour span, Brad Stevens has gone from $20+ million over the second apron to about $7 million under.
Yeah.
Turning a $30 million Kristaps Porzingis into an $8 million George Niang.
Yeah.
By brilliantly using the Brooklyn cap space as kind of like a clearance, like you're laundering money. You're just like laundering your whatever you want to call it. You're just going, okay, yep, we're just going to wash it right through Brooklyn, comes out clean on the other side. Now the Celtics are under the second apron.
Yeah, they're under the second apron after yesterday bringing in a guy who's going to make $27 million next year. Like, and obviously they cut some salary there, but they didn't cut much, and he still managed to get them under the apron. And again, bring in this guy that it's like, hey, if you like, you're in a great position now with Simons, because if you want to take a flyer on him and see like, hey, how does he fit? How does he fit on this team? Yeah, absolutely. You're under the second apron. And if something does pop up where you're like, all right, I mean, hey, we could clear even more. We could get on, we could really
get really
there. Like we could really put ourselves in a great salary position. You got it. Also, you have this $27 million contract. If you want to start making some bigger moves, it's a much. I mean, it's really not that it's a huge surprise, right? Because Brad's been doing this. Like, every time it's like, oh man, Brad's gonna have to make some moves, and then Brad does it, and it's like, yeah, wow, well done. Yeah. But that's pretty much how I feel after. Obviously, I know Celtics fans are kind of hurting, right? Because to like see Drew Holiday go out the door, and like, some people got pretty sick of Porzingis, but like other people really liked him, whatever. But like realistically, I mean, we talked before all this started about what it would mean if the Celtics did this without giving up first round picks, and here we are. Like
that might be like. This is, and I hate to be this guy because I want to be like critical.
Yeah.
I want to be like, okay, we gotta objectively be like, but no, it's like, God, Brad is brilliant here. Okay. So in these 2 quick moves, he like turning Porzingis into $8 million contract, George Niang, who I apologize to George and his family for constantly referring to him as the piece of paper on which he has signed and agreed to a certain amount of money. But that's really what this is all about, is the contract. But to do that is brilliant. To get, buddy, they are $4.6 million away from the first apron.
Yep.
They can get under the first apron soon, which opens up another flurry of things. And they didn't have to attach any picks. They can go into Wednesday night and make that 28th pick. Or if Steve Bulpett is reporting, which is always solid, is to believe like they might be trying to move up. There could be a maneuvering to move up in this draft. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how quickly they pivoted from Porzingis. they very clearly, I think, saw this opportunity and said, 2 years of Porzingis, neither of them have been healthy. And on top, they've been so careful with him.
Yeah.
They've been so careful. They did everything right. Talking about treating him with kid gloves. And he still wasn't available for most of the finals. And he still wasn't himself in these playoffs when they really needed him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, hey, on a personal level, I think Porzingis is awesome. I think he's been great. He's been always great to us. He's been fun. The fans love him and all that stuff. But NBA's always been a business. But now more than ever with this second apron, it's like, sorry, buddy, it's just not cutting it. It's great salary dump of Porzingis to get there, to do it without giving up the first round picks. So I didn't even put any stock into this 28th pick because I thought for sure it would be gone. For sure it would be gone. I would have bet a paycheck on that 28th pick not being made.
Yeah, if I told you that the Celtics brought in, like, did the salary maneuver, brought in Niang, brought in Anthony Simons, and got to this point, and they attached a first-round pick to do it, you'd be like, all right, yeah, like, fair enough. You did pretty well. Like, you did pretty well. Like, Brad did all this, well, with the whole league knowing that he wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And the whole league very publicly saw that Kristaps Porzingis was not part of either run. Like, and what's crazy too, right? And I think there's something to this too. He did this without, like, I don't think he fleeced these teams really, and I think that kind of matters. I don't think he's getting this. I don't know that he's going to end up with this reputation of, like, oh, you can't deal with Brad. Like, Brad's going to, like that Danny Ainge thing. It's like, no, like, these guys are, like, I mean, Portland, that's a pretty good deal for Portland. I like what Portland did with that deal. And I really think that Brad also did quite well. Same thing here, right? It's like, who comes away from this being like, oh man, we got robbed? Nobody.
If you're an Atlanta fan, you're like, we gave up George Niang for a shot at Kristaps Porzingis.
I have seen a lot of people being like, oh man, if Porzingis stays healthy, this is really, I'm like, oh buddy.
Right. I know. We're like, yeah, we if.
Sure. Yeah, if he does, sure thing, buddy.
But who cares if he doesn't?
Yeah.
Because it's George Niang.
Yep.
And, like, George Niang and a second round pick, and you get Porzingis and you get to talk yourself into Kristaps Porzingis. You're like, yeah, of course Atlanta makes that deal.
Yeah.
I haven't even listened to Locked On Hawks yet, but guarantee they're gonna be like, you would be stupid not to make that deal.
Yeah.
And Brad just like, here you go. But Boston, on the Boston side, it's like, oh my God, now they have flexibility. They have so much flexibility.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right in the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
Kristaps Porzingis is coming to the Atlanta Hawks.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast.
And there was some Terrence Mann buzz throughout the day. Then there was a little bit of a ripple behind the scenes about Kristaps Porzingis. Some reporting from Jake Fisher and Mark Stein about the Hawks being a potential target of Boston and Porzingis and all of those things. And then pretty quickly, this all happened to where the Hawks now have the mythical 7-footer that everyone's been asking for a very long time. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also a really interesting, talented, theoretical fit, the rare player in Porzingis that is the guy who can actually protect the rim as a true center-sized player and also spread the floor as a high-end shooter for a center. Everyone wants that kind of player. He is that kind of player when he is healthy, and that is a big caveat when he is healthy. But We'll get into the angles of the trade in emergency fashion, and then I will have a second podcast later on tonight about the draft and the fallout there. So, PSA, the Hawks still have the 13th pick in the draft. That still matters. Center is no longer, for me, it was never a huge priority anyway in the draft, but now it's probably not a huge priority in the draft no matter what. We'll get into all that later on. But for now, this is going to be a podcast about the trade and the fallout of the trade. The deal is as follows from the Hawks side. This is what matters. This is the Hawks podcast. The Hawks are sending out Terrence Mann, George Niang, and the number 22 pick in the draft on Wednesday. Their second of their first-round picks. That was the Lakers pick from the DeJounte Murray trade. The Hawks are getting Porzingis from Boston, and it's been reported that there is a second-round pick coming to Atlanta. Now, I didn't want to wait only for this. I'm monitoring my phone as I'm talking to you. I have not heard yet that what pick that is. There's a pretty wide range. It could be coming from Boston or Brooklyn, so that's a bit of a challenge. It's a 3-team deal with Boston and Brooklyn, with Mann going to Brooklyn, Niang going to Boston, and we don't know what that pick is going to be. So generally, when a second-round pick is thrown into a deal and we don't have the info on it, I would keep my expectations fairly low for that pick, but maybe I'll be surprised. We'll see. But in the meantime, just know that I'm recording this as fast as I possibly can. That's why I don't know. But it will be a second-round pick of some kind coming alongside, obviously, the headliner of the deal in Porzingis. So for me, big picture, this is kind of a twofold deal for the Hawks. Clearly, the headliner is adding the best player in the deal by a wide margin, and a player in Porzingis who just averaged 19.8 points and 7 rebounds per game across 2 seasons with Boston, one of which ended up in a title. I know he was kind of hurt for a lot of that playoff run, but he was really unlocking them when he was playing 2 years ago. As I said before, I'll say it again now, maybe one more time later on. He is that very rare big man who can both protect the rim defensively and also space the floor on offense. Overall, Porzingis is a very good player. I will admit, there have been times in his career, as I covered not just the Hawks, but the whole league, writing for Dime or writing for Fansided or wherever I was writing at the time, I've been a little lower on Porzingis at times than some people have been. I don't think he was ever like the star player that people sometimes thought that he might be, but he doesn't have to be that anymore. He's almost 30. I think that the star upside might be a little bit gone for Porzingis at this point in time. He'll be 30 in August, but he is a very, very good player when he is healthy. Now, there is some risk. He has a long history of injury issues. That is not something you can ignore. I think the Hawks certainly will be acknowledging that when they make this deal official. And as of right now on Tuesday evening, it's not official yet, not been announced. It is happening. I've confirmed it. It's happening. But that's the big thing here. That's part of why he was available. The other big part, look, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the last couple of months that have kind of changed things in the Eastern Conference. One of them is Jason Tatum tearing his Achilles. And that injury led to Boston being in cost-cutting mode even more than they might have been before. They've already traded Drew Holiday. Now they've traded Porzingis. He was much more available for a deal like this than he would have been if they had Tatum available. But for Boston, it's not a Boston podcast, but they wanted to cut money. That was the biggest thing here, and they were able to do that. They got Porzingis off their books, and all they had to bring in was George Niang. And George Niang is not making nearly what Porzingis is making. So that's very interesting as far as the money stuff is concerned. They're going to save a ton of money. But there was a mystery illness this year for Porzingis. He came back, but was like very clearly not well. And when I say mystery, there actually is a mystery. We don't know, and he doesn't know what his injury was. He actually sent a social media post out earlier today that I actually found after the trade where he was expressing he's been feeling good. He's ready to play with the national team this summer. That's all good. That's a good sign. But it's just worth keeping in mind that one of the reasons why the price is what it is that Porzingis is not the most durable player. That is the one risk of this deal, if there is any risk. But look, he potentially unlocks a ton for the Hawks. The upside of the Hawks is so much higher right now than it was 24 hours ago. That matters a lot. Even if some of the downside risk of these sort of being able to be out there, durability is part of this. Now, as far as how they got here, I shared a screenshot on Twitter tonight of a text that I sent to someone earlier on. I took out their information, just showed the one text I sent, and basically was saying that I was hearing that Terrence Mann was being kind of shopped around the league. And from what I understand, especially now, like that was the case. Not about Terrence, but as I've said literally yesterday on the show, I said this. The only contract on the Hawks books that was, in my mind, anywhere near being underwater or negative was Terrence Mann. He's owed $15.5 million for 3 more seasons. And he's not a bad player. He's actually a good player. He's a rotation player. But if you poll the league, that was a negative value contract, which is why the Hawks were trying to, get off that contract from what I heard. Now, I actually know from people that I talked to from two different teams today, doesn't really matter now, but they actually had direct talks about Mann in the last couple of days. So this is not just a Boston thing with Mann. The Hawks were trying to get off Terrence Mann. That's pretty clear. Now, this was the biggest swing deal that I heard of. A lot of the other ones were like more practical, like maybe Mann and a second-round pick or something like that. This is a bigger swing, but, it was clear they were trying to get off Mann and 3-year contract. Now, by the way, there's a combo to be had at some point about how much I did not like that trade in February, the Bogey trade. Everyone focused on the Hunter trade back then, and I got why. But I said that night, 4 months ago, that I didn't like the Bogey Mann trade. I did not understand why they sent 3 picks to get Mann for Bogey. And unfortunately, the Hawks basically paid for Mann on the way in and then paid to get off Mann on the way out. That's not great, but it did work out reasonably well here in that they were able to use that salary matching to make this deal happen. So that's where I want to go next. The Hawks are sending out the 22nd pick in this deal. That is the big asset that they are sending out for Porzingis. So if you want to think about it as 22 for Porzingis, it's not exactly that, but it's kind of that. I think Niang is like a neutral value on that deal. Maybe you're actually slightly positive. It's an expiring contract. He's a pretty good player. It's a modest deal, like $8 million. But Mann is there for the money, and Mann's a negative contract. So basically what happened here, in my opinion, the Hawks were sending the 22nd pick in the draft to both entice to get Porzingis, but also to get off of Mann. It's like 50-50 in there. Like you're paying to get off Mann and also paying to get Porzingis. This doesn't matter now. But basically what I would say is if Porzingis made exactly what the trade exception the Hawks have is, which is $25 million, and they traded a first-round pick just for Porzingis, I actually would like that less than I do this. I like it more because you're also getting off of Mann's contract. There's a dual incentive here, and that's where I'll leave it for now. Porzingis is making $30.7 million on an expiring deal. Only 1 year left for Porzingis, and it's this coming season it's about to happen. When he is healthy, big when, big if, whatever you want to say that, he is definitely worth that contract when he is healthy. Now, he's probably worth more than that, honestly, when he's healthy. He's probably a $35 million player, $30 million player. He's really good when he's healthy. The problem is that, of course, Boston's trying to save money, and you can't assume health with Porzingis. So if you want to take the deal into account, they were not going to be able to trade him for 3 picks or whatever. Like, they were not going to get more than a pick like this for Porzingis because of the expiring contract, the amount of money he makes, and the durability issues. But again, the Hawks are getting kind of a 2-for-1 here by getting off of Mann and adding Porzingis. And one more time, the Hawks did not use the trade exception. I'll come back to that later on in the podcast. They did not use that, so they still have it. Keep that in mind. There was some misunderstanding there. So overall, I'll just say this. Overall, I really like this move. Now, I am not always the pom-pom waiver. If you remember back in February, I really, really did not like the Mann Bogey trade. I was okay with the Hunter trade. I didn't love it. This deal is better than those deals. This is like a B+, A- kind of trade for me. It isn't an A+ for me because of the durability issues. There is some risk to it. You're giving up a first-round pick. It's real value that you traded to make this deal happen. And the downside is that he gets hurt and doesn't help you at all, and you kind of lit a pick on fire. But it wasn't the 5th pick. It's the 22nd pick. That does matter too. But I think that Porzingis, when he is going to be available, hopefully a lot, is going to really help the team. He'll be good. He unlocks a lot of things, the shooting, the defense. Crucially, he can play with Okongwu. That was kind of the white whale in backup center or center talk recently, is that ideally, if you were going to pay up for a high-level center, you get a guy that would be able to play with or without Okongwu. Porzingis can do that. That's the theory of this trade. I'm not saying you start those guys together or that you have to play them together a ton, but if you want to tell me they can play 8 or 10 minutes a game together, I fully believe that because of Porzingis' shooting and Okongwu's versatility defensively on the perimeter. His shooting has improved. That is now a real option to kind of go big and bludgeon teams with size. That's actually a really good look there. And even when they're not playing together, it's a ceiling raiser for the Hawks. He's a really good player. I like Niang. I really do. I like Terrence Mann. I've heard nothing but good things about him. I've had a good time covering those guys recent days, but I think it's a good deal for the Hawks. They add the best talent by far in this trade, and they do it crucially without overpaying a ton and without taking an unnecessary long-term risk. If this blows up on you, if he gets hurt or he's still sick or whatever happens, the downside is not that low. And that's another reason why I really like this deal. And again, the upside is considerably high. They have more work to do. I promise you they have a lot more work to do to this roster. They're now actually a little bit less deep than they were a few minutes ago because they went 2 for 1 here and they already had depth problems. We'll get into all that more, but I want to say one more time, the ceiling is really much higher now than it was before. I like the deal a lot for the Hawks, and I think you got to be pretty pleased with the first transaction of the Antti Saleh era as the general manager of Atlanta.